We have so much to cover in today's video because women prey on men who are naive. Women will oftentimes prey on men being blind to their own market value, and because of this, what women oftentimes do is they gain the psychological leverage step by step, play by play, without you even realizing it. And what's going to happen is, if you stick with me today on the marker board presentation, by the end of it, what I'm going to actually do is show you how to spot all of these things so that way you can see them coming. And then as you can see them coming, what will happen is you'll know how to counter them. Because what you have to understand is, in today's dating game, in today's dating market, you're playing chess at the highest level. And by you saying, oh, I'm going to just ignore this stuff and go into these dating interactions blind, the women that you're dealing with are already naturally good with game. They are naturally already going to be using strategies to make it so they have the upper hand. And what's going to happen is, if you just choose to ignore this, you're going to get your ass handed to you. So stick with me, because today's presentation will change your life. Now, after today's video is over, be sure to go down below. You hit the link in the description. You check out the full-length MBT, Masculine Behavioral Techniques, full-length presentation that I put together for you. Because what I'm going to do is, if you click that link in the bio, we can actually take these concepts I'm going to be teaching you on today's video even a step further. Okay, the women that you're going to be dealing with, they prey on the fact that you're probably naive to the game. Okay, they're hoping that you don't understand what's going on. They're hoping that you're blind to what's actually happening. And you have to be able to spot these things, because her whole game is banking on you not knowing the game. Okay, say that with me one more time. Her whole game that she's running, when she's texting you, when she's calling you, when she's flirting with you, when she's on a date with you, her entire game is banking on you not knowing the game. Like, she's hoping that you don't know what's actually going on. Like, the second that a woman is actually like faced with a guy who understands like concepts of like seduction and masculine frame to counter these things, is typically the guy who wins. So the reason why women do these games, and the reason why women act the way that they do, is because she wants to feel pursued. Okay, so here's what you have to know about women is they conceal their interest level and they conceal their intent 24/7. If she has Superman in front of her, she wants to make him feel like a civilian. Okay, if she has a multimillionaire in front of her, her goal is to make that guy feel like he makes 50 grand a year. They do these things subconsciously. Okay, this is how they gain the upper hand and the leverage. She wants to feel pursued. So she may want you. She may have sky-high interest in you. She may be dying to see you. Like, this woman may completely want to see you in every way, shape, and form. And she will still make it so you have to initiate the contact first to set these dates and see her. Not only has she been taught, okay, to be pursued, not only has she been taught by how the modern day world is to not show interest and intent and never validate a man, but what she knows on a deep down level is the second she starts to show her cards, she's going to lose a lot of the power that she wants to feel psychologically, so she doesn't feel vulnerable. So this is important for you to understand, because all of her communication is indirect. When I say it's indirect, very rarely is it black and white, meaning yes and no. It's shades of gray. Every single text message, there's typically a hidden meaning or a double meaning. Every single time you're having a conversation with a woman, like, the words that are being spoken are completely irrelevant. It's the way the words are said and the vibe and the seduction and the sex appeal of how the nuances is going on. It's like there's two conversations happening simultaneously. There's the conversation of the words and the spoken intent of what those words mean. And then there's the sub-communication and the vocal nuance and the tonality that not only gets her to play back with you, but that creates a dialogue so that way she wants to stick with you because the vibe and the energy is right. And I know these concepts sound weird, but just stick with me. They're going to make sense. You not knowing the game allows her to feel like she has the upper hand. You not knowing the game allows her to get you emotionally reactive, okay? You not knowing the game allows her to weave into your subconscious that she's losing interest or not wanting to see you in the first place. Now, you might be wondering, well, why? Why would a woman do this? Why would a woman want to make me feel lower value? Why would a woman want to make me emotionally reactive, so that way I'm super invested in her, and then she can slowly emasculate me and then exit. Why would a woman want to weave into my subconscious that she's losing interest and that she's losing intent? Aren't women beautiful? Aren't women wonderful? Okay, you might be wondering, that's how you might maybe feel right now. You're like, okay, I wasn't told that they do these things. I get it. But here's why they do this. They do this to get a man to reveal his scarcity mindset. By you revealing your scarcity mindset, now this shows your true SMV, your true sexual market value. Her whole goal, so you have to know this, all tests that women give, when they test you, they are interest tests. Majority of the time you fail these interest tests, meaning every time you hold eye contact just a little too long, every time you smile just a little too deep, every time you get emotionally invested in her, she starts to get a sense that either A, you're in love, B, you're attached, or C, you really like her. The second that those things start to happen, what happens is a guy turns into a man who has weak tonality, weak body language, is emotionally reactive, and now in essence, he's gone weak for her. So the reason why women do these things, the reason why this psychology is happening back and forth between the guy and the girl, is because she's trying to get you to reveal your scarcity mindset. The second you reveal that scarcity mindset, it shows your true sexual market value. This is why operating out of abundance is going to be a massive advantage. And this is oftentimes why commitment will destroy desire, because the second that you limit your options to one, just one girl you're seeing, this shows up in your tonality. This shows up in your body language. Before, what was happening when you met a girl is it was playful. There was banter back and forth. Nothing was serious. It was extremely lighthearted. You're playful. And then you know what happens as you only start to see that one girl, you get to know her on a deeper level. Now the conversations turn logistic. Now you guys are having 30-minute, 45-minute, 1 hour long talks. Now you guys are actually talking about real life and real world discussion. Now you guys are actually speaking about day-to-day activities that you guys are doing, and now the communication has become neutral. As that communication becomes neutral, now there's no sexual tension or sexual desire, and now she exits. So while you're sitting there going, well, hey, I built more rapport with her. Well, hey, what I did was I got to know her on a deeper level. What you're sitting there doing is you're going, well, hey, since I got to know her more, and since I talked to her more, and since now we're in relationship, because now I actually have insight into her life and we're having real discussion and not just playful, meaningless discussion, shouldn't she like me more? And then you watch the woman exit. So you have to understand this. By you going deep in conversation, by you going logical, by you getting emotionally invested and talking about real world concepts, you're going to be destroying the desire and the chemistry that you once had. What women do is they want to get you to feel that you're at the disadvantage. This is why I'm telling you, her whole game is banking on the fact that you don't have game or that you don't know the game. The second that you show that you don't know the game, she starts to gain that leverage. As she gains that leverage, you're going to notice her desire drops and she pulls away. So this is how they attempt to get the position of power. There's 3 specific ways that women attempt to get the position of power. Okay, the first thing that they try to do, especially in the beginning, is they attempt to get you to set all of the dates. The amount, like, I have had a full range of women over the years who have all tried to get me to do 100% of the pursuing in the beginning, and that will attempt to get me to fully invest to where they show little to no interest. Now, I'm telling you this because this is going to be like unanimously true with majority of the women that you meet. Majority of the women that you meet, they're going to make you do all of the work. They're going to make you do all of the pursuing. They're going to even play hard to get, where even if they want to go out on that date, they will still make you jump through hoops and ladders just a little bit verbally or just a little bit through text messages to really lock down a time. Okay? So here's what you're going to see. What I told you over here is all of her communication is indirect. It's shades of gray. There's covert meanings behind all of it. And it's very, very rarely is it direct, meaning, hey, I want to see you this weekend. If you get something like that, your guard should almost go up a little bit, because women don't oftentimes talk like that. And truthfully, if she is talking like that, she's at a last ditch effort or a last resort to get you to respond. Meaning you're probably a guy who hasn't shown her a lot of interest. You're probably a guy who hasn't shown her a lot of intent. And she's trying to not beat around the bush whatsoever, and she's trying to get right to the point and say, I want to see you. your guard should go up a little bit if that happens, especially with a girl you just met, because it's not very typical. So how does she get you to set all of the dates? These are the things that I've noticed from the women who I've dated, and these are the things that I've noticed from just women in general. They'll do things like they'll text you and they'll say, "Hey, stranger," because what they're trying to get you to do is they're going to try to get you to talk about your day and what you're doing to see if you're available. Another thing that I've had girls do is, like, if they're not doing anything on a weekend, like it's a Saturday night, or let's say even if it's a weekday, right? It could be a Thursday evening and they're super bored. And maybe they want to see me, or they want to go out, or they want to do something. So just go, "So you off work yet? You busy?" ? But they won't say, "I want to see you." What they're going to do is they'll just say, "You working?" ? Smiley face. "You working?" And what she's trying to get you to do is she's trying to get you to potentially make time for her. Okay? What you have to know is if you say yes to these things as well too quickly, is you maybe will run the risk of being too available, where interest will drop subconsciously even if she did agree to that date. So she might still go see you, but what you have to know is every single time that you make dates spontaneously right there and you open up availability, you run the risk of the availability trap, and now you're too available. So keep that in mind. Another thing that they might say is, "How's work? How's that project? How are things going with work?" They're trying to make small talk. They're trying to make conversation. One thing that I even had a girl do recently, she asked me to hang out on the weekend. So she put, we were having dialogue back and forth on text message, and I invited her over, or I invited her to go get food or something like that. And she was busy, or she was doing something, and then she put "this weekend." That's all she said, was "the weekend," or "this weekend," meaning this weekend she wants to see me. It took all of probably 5 seconds, and then she unsent the message. And she unsent the message for one of two reasons. Either A, she wanted me to see it, and then she wanted me to remove the interest, so it looks like she's second guessing herself, to leave me in limbo, so I don't know where she stands. Or B, she thought, "Hey, this was too ballsy. I don't want to be that direct. That's a little too aggressive. That's a little too much for a text message. I'm going to pull that back." So I've literally, I'm showing you this. This is the real life stuff that I've had. I've had women go, "Hey, stranger." I've had women go, "How's work going?" I've had women go, "You busy? You working? How's work?" All this is covert messages. This is covert hidden messages to try to get a date to see you. She's trying to see you. She's trying to talk to you. She's trying to even potentially meet up with you right then and there. I've also had women ask to hang out and then unsend it because they feel it was too quick. These are personal things that I've seen. If even I deal with this stuff in my dating life and I teach this, what do you think you're going to deal with? You're going to run into all of these things. So they know if you pursue them that you'll value them. This is the first thing that you're going to notice. They try to get the position of power, okay, by trying to get you to pursue them. And they do this by getting you to set all of the dates. By you setting all of the dates, you are now the one in pursuit. You're the one in chase. She feels validated. She feels like even if your sexual market value is potentially higher than hers, now what's happening is she's slowly reversing the dynamics, so that way you value her just as much. Keep in mind, all of these too are things that they oftentimes will do to self-sabotage the entire relationship or interactions with you, because what they're actually doing is they're trying to make it so that way they value you less. It's funny how this works. You have to be very aware to all of this stuff as well. So they know that if you pursue them, you'll value them. She wants you to value her. She wants you to respect her. She wants you to cherish her. She wants you to look at her as if she's something more than just maybe all of the other women you've went out on dates with. She wants to feel special. Now, be very aware of this. This is the first way that they get the power. The second way that a woman attempts to get the power is through value extraction. Now, value extraction means that sometimes she's trying to extract resources, meaning dates, meaning maybe she's trying to lock down a guy who's husband material so she can have a place to live. She wants a home. She wants a family one day. The first thing that she's going to look for potentially is resources, value extraction. Okay, sometimes the value extraction is she just wants sex. Maybe she thinks you're hot. Maybe she thinks you're tall and good looking and you have muscles, so she just wants some hot sex with you and that's it. Now, maybe the value extraction that she's looking for is validation or attention. But I'm going to tell you what, 9 times out of 10, what she's looking for when it comes to value extraction is there's an emotional void not being filled. Okay? There's a guy that she's currently with who's gotten complacent. There's a guy she's currently with who doesn't create the emotional volatility, so now he's boring. There's maybe even a guy that she's sleeping with that she actually views as like a man's man. And what's happened is now he's actually caught feelings. Now he starts trying to push for something more. Now she's lowering attraction towards him. Now there's that emotional void where, she needs to find a dude who's, more alpha, right? Or more tough. This is what you're going to see. 9 times out of 10, it's an emotional void that's not being filled. Sometimes she has a full-on boyfriend, but he just doesn't make her feel beautiful anymore. Sometimes she has a boyfriend and he makes her feel beautiful too much. So since he makes her feel beautiful too much, now she's on the pedestal. Well, now she's on the pedestal and all of a sudden she wants a different guy. So you see, this is very scattered. You're never going to be able to fully lock down a reason why women are doing these things, because there's 1,000,001 different reasons. The reason why a woman may exit a different guy is because, well, hey, he just lost his job and I saw a family with him one day and now he's not going to be able to provide that. The guy who she's sleeping with, well, now he's catching feelings, so I view him as a weaker option, right? The guy that she's extracting value from, that she's talking to and now she's content with, well, maybe he's pushing for a date and she was comfortable with just friend zoning him and using him for free attention on text message or Snapchat all day. And now since he's cut off that attention, now she's looking for it elsewhere. Sometimes there's an emotional void with the current boyfriend, right? Maybe the current boyfriend always makes her feel beautiful and now she wants to feel lusted after. So you see, there is such a wide array of reasons why a woman may exit. There's such a wide array of reasons why a woman doesn't want a guy anymore. And what you have to understand with the second way that they get power with value extraction is this is basically a contract. So when she enters into relationship with a guy, whether it's dating, casual dating, hooking up, long-term commitment, there's something that she's going for. And at that one specific point in her life, that is the highest priority. And you're going to notice this with women as they hit different ages, right? Resources, right? And going somewhere in life so that way she can have a family one day. That might be the most important thing for her when she hits 27, 28 years old. Right, you're going to notice when she's 19, 20, 21, 22, all she's looking for is the guy who's popular or the guy who's really good looking, and it's short-term sex. Right, so the priorities can change. But value extraction, you have to understand that this is a way that they get the power. Now, when I say get the power, that means the power over a man psychologically. This power through value extraction, it's like she has to have the better end of the deal. Right, and for her, she also wants to be able to put you in a box. And what I mean by that is she wants to give you a label, right? Give you a label as, this is the rich guy. I use him for dates. This is the guy who I text at midnight after I've had 2 drinks at the bar and I want to come over to his house and watch a movie. We all know what that means. This is the guy who's the boyfriend category, and now I'm just sick of him because he's put me on the pedestal for the past 6 months and I can't even get turned on for him anymore. Value extraction. They are constantly extracting value in some way, shape, or form. This is the second way that they attempt to get the position of power. Now, the third way is keeping you blind to your own sexual market value and your own worth. What that means is, since women are covert and indirect, they very rarely will compliment a man or give validation to a man. Say that with me one more time. Very rarely do they compliment, very rarely do they give validation. So that means most men walk around completely blind to their own worth. Most men truthfully have no idea. There's so many men I've met who have no idea if they're attractive or not. And some of these guys make 250 grand a year. Some of these guys are tall. Some of these guys are good looking, right? But the problem is, on the inside, they don't know where they stand. So they look at a girl and they say, well, I don't know if she's out of my league. I think she's hot, but does she think I'm hot? Am I good enough to talk to her? And the reason why men are blind to their own worth is because men oftentimes will think that women look at attraction the way that they do. So what men have to understand is women look at what's more than meets the eye. So women fall in love with the internal. So if women fall in love with the internal, that means you're a guy where if you walk up to a girl and you convey through confidence, you convey through your body language, you're able to flirt and play around with her verbally, where she feels like there's a game going on and this is fun. You're able to stimulate her imagination, her emotions. You're able to create fantasy. You're able to create verbals that are funny to her, and you get her to feel something. Okay, what that's going to do is that's going to take, like if she just saw you walking down the street and she views you as a 5 or a 6, but then you start talking to her, by the end of that interaction, she can now view you as an 8, 9, or a 10. Because women fall in love with the internal. So most men are blind to their own worth because they haven't developed the personal skills or the social skills internally to be able to make that other person or that woman feel something on an emotional level. They're not able to stimulate her emotions. So most men walk around blind to their own worth. If you're a millionaire, her natural goal is to make you feel like you're not one. Say that with me one more time. If you're a millionaire, her natural goal is to make you feel like you're not one. This is how women get the power, by keeping you blind to your own sexual market value, by keeping you blind to your own worth. What you're going to notice is if you're high value, if you're watching this right now and you're 16 years old and you're the star quarterback and you have a crush on one of the cheerleaders and you're trying to talk to her, her goal when she's talking to you and when you're talking to her, her goal is going to be to make you feel like you're not the star quarterback. What that does is that allows her to be indirect with communication, keep you blind to your own worth. Now all of a sudden she feels pursued and you start to look at her like she's at the higher value. This is how the game works. So this is why as a man 24/7 you have to always act entitled. If you don't act entitled, a woman's never going to give you what you want. So women cannot love you, respect you, submit to you, desire you sexually, or want to date you. Read that with me. Women cannot love you, respect you, submit to you, desire you sexually, or want to date you if you don't appear to be higher value than them. End of discussion. You have to appear higher value than them. You don't do this through your accomplishments. You don't do this through your accolades. You don't do this through making a lot of money. You don't do this through being taller than her. You don't do this through having more muscle than her. You do this through your verbals. You do this by acting entitled. You do this by acting slightly arrogant. You do this by having masculine frame. This is what a woman falls in love with, is the internal. So, a woman wants to look up to you. And what that means is entitled, arrogant characteristics need to be shown at all times. So what would that look like? That would look like, maybe replying back on your own time. And that doesn't just mean text messages either. That means she asks you a question, right? She asks you a question. You're sitting there in the room with her. You take a second, you go, yeah. Notice how you shrug that off. When you shrug that off, you're replying back on your own time. That appears higher value. It appears to her that what she just said isn't that important to you. This allows her to engage deeper into her emotions. This allows her to engage deeper into her feelings. So another one would be not taking anything that they say seriously. When you don't take anything that they say seriously and you're constantly playing around with them back and forth, it's like you're almost toying with their emotions. And she thinks it's fun. Okay, so what that would look like when you're verbally playing around, like one of the things I do all the time to poke fun at the girl or to hang out with her in a way where she feels like this is fun and like this isn't so boring. If there's a TV character on the show, like let's say it's a dude, like there's a show I was watching Casino the other day with Robert De Niro, and the girl I was with, I was like, you kind of look like him. I was like, same nose, same like haircut, completely wrong, right? Like it wasn't serious at all because they don't look alike, but she thought that was funny, right? If you're with a girl, right, and let's say you're watching Finding Nemo or Ice Age, and you say you look like that mammoth on Ice Age, same like facial structure, and you guys have the same amount of hair, right, as the mammoth. She's gonna laugh. As she laughs, you're playing around with her. So this is what you have to do, like that, like to a woman, that is masculine frame. To a woman, that is the playful banter that she wants. And the reason why that's masculine frame is because you're putting her in a category where you're treating her like a girl, which is how she wants to be treated, as like a girl or like a woman. Okay, that is frame. So a lot of you have the wrong idea or the wrong concepts of frame. You think masculine frame is being stern and being like almost uptight and almost robotic to the point where you're just so direct. That's not how you get a woman to open up to you. If you do those things, it's not going to work. You're going to notice that you try to act that way and she's going to leave and it's going to feel very boring to her. She's like, well, I didn't get a whole lot out of that. The second you're able to play back and forth with her, not take anything that she says seriously, right? And I don't care if she's a professional. I don't care if she's a teacher. I don't care if she's an accountant. I don't care if she's a barista at Starbucks. And I don't care if she's a neurosurgeon. The second you start to take what she says seriously, you're no longer having a true man to woman interaction where this is somebody that she wants to flirt with, play back with, and actually have a relationship with. You've now categorized yourself as a guy who's boring, routine, monotonous. You do not want to do that. So those are some of the things you can do. Now, this increases desire, but it's all ruined through commitment. So here's what I mean by that. These games that you play verbally back and forth with a woman, they're needed to stimulate chemistry. They're needed to stimulate arousal. They're needed to stimulate desire. The second that you don't the second that you don't do them is the second that you no longer have that tension built with her that you had in the beginning that she fell in love with in the first place. The reason why commitment starts to ruin this is because the more you see a woman, this is very easy to do if you see a woman once a week. There's playful banter, there's sexual tension, it's easy. However, if you see if a girl becomes your girlfriend and now you guys see each other 4, 5, 6 days a week, or let's say you live with a woman or you get married, well, now what she's gonna see is she's gonna see real life. That means now I watch this guy pay bills. Now I watch this guy have to work. Now I watch this guy have to take serious phone calls. Oh, did you buy that boat or that jet ski, that pontoon? Now this guy has to set up insurance. You understand, now when she sees day-to-day routine of you handling stuff as a man, you run the risk of engaging in logical, logistical, or real-life discussion with her. The more you do that, you've now ruined the illusion that created the tension in the first place. Now, some of you might say, well, that's fake, or I don't want to have to do these things. You have to, or you're not going to be able to secure the date number 2 in the first place. So this is why oftentimes desire is completely crushed or ruined through commitment. So always keep that in mind. The reason why I advocate you not to commit to women, or the reason why I advocate that, you probably should make sure that if you do commit, the woman really pursues you and has to lock you down, is due to the fact that oftentimes women just don't respect men who become their boyfriends, especially long term. Women don't like those guys. If they liked those guys, I'd tell you. But that's not what I see. What I see oftentimes is the women slowly pull back, sex withhold from them, look at him as a lower sexual market value option, and then leave. Or they cheat. So that's what you got to remember. Now, to conclude this, why she wants you naive to your own worth, we're going to have a man-to-man discussion. Okay, man-to-man, this is no bullshit. This is what you have to understand. You need to discover your own worth. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because behind closed doors, there are no naturals or there are no natural players. I've watched guys who you think have tons of swag. I've watched guys who seem like they can get any girl they want. I've watched guys who are super good with women. All of them have, behind closed doors, if you talk to them, right? You shut the door, you say, how do you do this? They all have strategy. All of them either have learned it through somebody else or they've learned it themselves. And you watch what happens when their strategy doesn't work. If you're the star quarterback, you wouldn't believe how many guys where they have situational status. So they're like, well, I was popular in high school, I was popular in college, I was the college running back, but now real world kicked in and I can't talk to any girls anymore because they don't see me that way. Or guys who go, I was the fraternity leader in college and now that I graduated, I don't know what to do. Okay, so keep in mind, all players have strategy, and sometimes their strategy backfires if they don't know how to actually continue their evolution with their own game, their evolution with their own charisma and their own personality. So keep that in mind. Man to man, you have to discover your own worth. The only way you discover your own worth, you have to take risks. You have to do what scares you. You have to approach that pretty girl and ask her out on a date, even if it scares you. You have to do these things. You have to prove to yourself that you have the balls to go after what you want. And when you do that, you actually can become the game. You have to become the game. The game is not something you can play. You have to become it. And what that means is you have to become a different person. Now, being good with women, I underline this in big red letters, so this would stick out. Being good with women is about being a different man. It's not about being a better man. And this is the bullshit that frustrates me with self-improvement. This has nothing to do with self-improvement. I don't care how much your bench press is. I don't care how much money you make. I don't care about any of that. We're not self-improving and then you're going to get the girls. If you want to be better with women, you have to become a different man, which means verbally, the way you carry yourself has to change. The seduction patterns and the language patterns that you use has to change. You have to actually become different. Now, those of you who say, well, that's bullshit because I just want to be myself, That doesn't work, because in life, anytime you want success, you have to be a different man. That means when Tom Brady wanted to go from an average football player to winning Super Bowls, he probably had to become different. He probably had to build a better routine. He probably had to become different with his workout habits. When Michael Jordan wanted to go from not even making his high school basketball team to now being one of the best basketball players in the world, he had to become different. In order for a man to get to where he wants to be in business, he has to become different. The habits, the characteristics, the personality traits that he has in high school, college, probably isn't going to serve him when he's 35, 40 years old and wants to build a Fortune 500 company. You have to become different. And that's okay. There's goodness that comes with change. Change is good. So those of you who you say this bullshit like, I just want to be myself. Well, I shouldn't. Or you even will have your friends. What your friends will do is they'll impose different values on you. Let's say, well, I'll keep hanging out with you just as long as you stay true to yourself and you never change. Well, what does true to yourself even mean? Because being true to yourself is fully dictated based on your circumstances. Because everyone's a victim of their own circumstance. Your personality and who you are is dependent on where you grew up, what schools you went to, what type of family you had, and how the people around you acted, which molded your personality. You actually didn't choose any of these things. So because of that, you got to understand that it's okay to change. It's okay to become different. That's the evolution that you go through as a man to get what you want. So these false beliefs people hold like, I don't want to change, or I just want to be myself. Or, my parents told me, always stay true to who I am and be a good guy. Well, what does that even mean? Because if you want a specific outcome, like a guy who actually understands this stuff will just do what's required. So I'm trying to show you that it's okay to look at things a bit more logical like that and be willing to be flexible with your personality to get what you want. That's okay. That's good. Anybody who tells you it's not good, let them just keep rambling that, because they're not going to get results anyways. So this has nothing to do with self-improvement. There's high-value men out there who oftentimes will suck with women all the time that I've seen. There's guys who are millionaires. They suck with women. Why? Because the second that millionaire starts to take what she says seriously and he's not engaging in the verbal play back and forth that she's looking for to stimulate her emotions, he gets left too. The dude who's ripped and 6'5" and a bodybuilder, like those abs that he has looks good, but it doesn't do anything to make her feel anything on the inside. Right? There's guys who have social status, and then you know what happens is maybe she viewed him as a popular option that she wanted to sleep with all the time, and then that guy ran the risk of being too available, or he failed too many interest indicators off the text messages, and now all of a sudden what happens is she doesn't want to see him anymore either because he looks lower value. So keep in mind, to be good with women, you have to become a different man. The game has to become who you are. And you have to see these things through what they are, because all of these women are using game regardless if you want them to or not. None of these girls are going into this with pure intent. They are all using psychological frames of value to get you to trip and fall and make one too many mistakes so they can optimize hypergamy and disqualify you. And if you don't spot these things, it doesn't matter how tall you are, how good looking you are, how jacked you are, how much money you make, she will exit too if you fail these things. They are hardwired to leave you. They are hardwired to optimize hypergamy and find perfect. The second you lay your cards incorrectly, you will be left. This is why women will oftentimes prey on men being naive, and her whole job is to be indirect with her communication, to keep you blind to your own sexual market value, to keep you blind to your own worth, so she has reasons to exit, or so she has reasons to disqualify you. If you like this video, hit the like button. Be sure to go down below, you check out that webinar that I put together for you, and we will see you in the next one.